All right. Howdy, howdy. Welcome, everyone. Give me 1 second. Welcome to Friday evening live stream. Let me go ahead and split my screen. I have a couple of talking points I want to cover. And I need to pull them up so I can remember them. Let's see. All right. Now I think I've got everything set up and ready to go. Welcome to the shop. My name is Dylan. I am a professional gunsmith. I own my own business, and I am in the business of fixing broken firearms. So I like to do every once in a while one of these question and answer type live streams. They seem to get better engagement, and I feel like I am more helpful to those of you who are not in my area or going to send me a project. So I have a couple of talking points, but I will open the chat up. If you have any questions, drop it over in the chat and I will answer them when I get a chance. But this is your opportunity to kind of pick my brain. If you have a project that you're working on, or you have a firearm in particular you have questions about, um, I will open the venue to just about any subject matter. As principal, don't talk about politics, and pretty much everything else is on the table. There are a few exceptions. But if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. So I want to talk about projects that I have in the pipeline while y'all are joining, and we gather some traction. I want to talk about some things that are going on around the shop, and then some things that I have planned for the future. Currently, it is Friday evening. If you're watching this after the live stream, I am done working for the day. I'm done taking business for the day. We'll put it that way. I have a couple of things that I want to work on before I close the door, but I like this timeline. Usually get better engagement this time of evening. Everybody's done doing their running. And so this is the time of day where I do some bookkeeping. So if you don't know, in the gunsmithing world, there are a couple of requirements involved paperwork wise. Specifically, having a federal firearms license, you have to keep a bound book or an acquisition and disposition book. And so this is my time of day to go through that and make sure I didn't make any mistakes or catch anything that I left out. Make sure all of my T's are crossed and my I's are dotted. But also, it's my time of day where I like to catch up on all my little rat killing projects, tools that I'm making, and personal projects that I'm working on. Uh, Ordering any materials or supplies is usually after the end of the workday, but also to plan on future projects. So I have a lot of little things that I've started on the channel. The Mauser shotgun project, for example, doesn't necessarily, it's not something that I am in a great rush to work on. It was something that was kind of dropped in my lap, and not necessarily something that I am going to invest a bunch of time in if it doesn't create content that people find entertaining or useful. I have lots of other projects that come in on a day-to-day basis, and that is not a need to do. That is a would be nice to do. For those of you that are joining, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I will answer them when I get a chance. But what projects do I have going on? So I have a series of videos that I'm working on. They're a little bit longer form, 30 minutes to an hour in length. Those are the types of videos that I personally like to watch from other content creators. And so that's the type of video that I'm making. I'm working on a series of shop-made tools. We've kind of touched on this in some videos in the past, but it was really surface level. There wasn't any meat and potatoes to it. And so sneak peek, thank you for joining the live stream. You're going to get a snippet into what the first video is about. I am making a series of videos about this tool right here. I had a customer bring me a project, It's a rebarrel of a Remington 700 style action. And I have a barrel, how do I want to phrase this? A barrel vise and an action wrench. But the action wrench that I have is kind of a universal style. I've owned it for several years. It's only so good. It can slip and cause finish damage. And there is a better tool on the market. And rather than purchasing one, I saw the opportunity for some video content. And so I'm in the process. This is about a 98% complete product for a Remington 700 action wrench. So have a series of videos that I'm working on for shop-made tools. I also have a 1911 tool that I'm working on, and I have plans for 2 other tools. I won't give you all of the cards, but that's one of the projects that I have working on, is creating a workflow for those videos to make them both entertaining but educational. I have my own brand of humor, and I like to sprinkle some of that in. Some people don't get it, and that's okay. But I'm trying to create a timeline and a workflow to make those videos more cohesive, but also easier to watch, more entertaining for y'all. What projects do I have at the moment? It's actually one of those times of year where I have a lot of projects in queue, but not a lot of firearms in the shop. During hunting season, I get a lot of those customers who call and they have something wrong and they need the firearm this weekend. This is my deer rifle. Something is wrong with it, and I'm going hunting Saturday. And so I like to not have a huge workload right now of backlog of firearms, because that gives me a little bit of wiggle room. Somebody brings me one of those firearms, I can work on it or work it into the schedule and have it back out the door in a day or two. Had a conversation with a customer this afternoon. He has a PTR H&K roller delayed firearm that he now has an approved Form 1 to SBR. He is going to cut the barrel and bring it to me to recrown the barrel. It is not going to get threaded. It is a 9mm gun. And unfortunately, the PTR barrels, excuse me, the roller delayed guns are not the easiest to pull the barrel on to thread. And so he wants to thread it with using a muzzle crowning tool. And so I think I'm going to order that from Brownells. I have one. I did a little bit of looking earlier. Cannot find this thing. There is some content on YouTube about that tool, but I have some tips and tricks, and so I think I will order another one. PTG or Wheeler maybe makes another one. Muzzle crowning tool has an interchangeable pilot, so you can use it with multiple calibers. But anyways, big projects. I finished the majority of the stuff I had here for work, and it is out the door. I do have some other gun projects that I just finished. What's in this case that I can't show you because we're live streaming, but uses one of these tools. So that is finished. Actually had to make some tools for that, and that turned into a can of worms. This week, if I had to title this week as one thing in particular, it would be fixing one thing to make a thing to make a thing to make a thing to fix one thing. It's just one project that is never ending. And so, case in point, I threaded a barrel on a Ruger bolt action 17 HMR for a customer this week. Pretty easy job. Pull the gun apart, put it in the lathe, indicate it, thread the barrel. And then I went to make a thread protector. I don't normally make thread protectors, but this customer is leaving the front sight on the gun and wants something to protect the threads. He recently purchased some suppressors and is now going to be threading pretty much everything. So if he wants to use his suppressors, he can. But in making the thread protector, I went to use a knurling tool on the lathe, and my lathe has a press style knurling tool. It's cheapy, offshore special. So it's got a couple of wheels, and you press them into the work, and it cuts knurling. Unfortunately, it puts a lot of pressure on the tool post, and my tool post kept turning. And so cranked down on it, and it would never get tight. This is a newer machine to me. I bought it secondhand, and the gentleman that I bought it from was using it, and apparently made his own T-nut for the quick change tool post. And the T-nut that he made is teeny tiny flimsy material. And basically every time you crank down on the lock, I was pulling the threads out of the T-nut. So threaded, knurled thread protector turns into, I need to make a T-nut. Well, I look around in all the stock that I have random material laying around, metal, and I don't have a chunk of material small enough to go straight to work making a T-nut. So I need to cut a piece of 3/4 inch thick mild steel plate. Well, then I remembered that the bandsaw that I also bought from the same gentleman did not come with a table. So that's a horizontal vertical bandsaw. It has a table that you can attach and cut stock. And so it doesn't have a table. So I have to make one of those. Well, then the table needs dimples in it to fit the saw, so the screw heads are flush with the table. So I have to make a set of dimple dies to dimple that. And that requires the use of the lathe that currently doesn't have a quick change tool post on it. And so I jump back over to the small lathe, turn these up pretty quickly. I always keep these little cutoffs. This is a piece of, it's fairly hard. I don't remember if it was chromoly, but it was induction hardened. It took some work to get this turned to size, but I wanted something that was fairly hard to start with, and this is just a piece of mild something from somewhere. I don't know. It's an offcut to something out of the scrap bin. So make a set of dimple dies, use the angle grinder, cut the piece of plate for the table, make the table, cut it to fit, shape it, put the dimples in it, cut the piece of 3/4 inch plate, take the 3/4 inch plate, put it in the milling machine, make the T-nut, which that took some time, put the T-nut in the lathe, finish knurling the $5 thread protector that I'm making for this customer. That's kind of how my week went. Every project that I started, I needed to make something or fix something or adjust something. And so that was this week in a nutshell. I enjoy tool making. I'm not a tool and die maker by any means, but I enjoy making shop tools, things that I use to do my job. I've been on Facebook Marketplace for the last couple of months looking for a single phase, smaller surface grinder or a tool and cutter grinder that can be used as a surface grinder as well. I'm all the time needing to modify or adjust something. I'm planning in the next year to add capabilities to the shop. So not necessarily case hardening, but hardening and annealing material. And a surface grinder goes hand in hand with that, being able to grind the surface after heat treat to remove any scale. So those are kind of my plans for the future. But like I said, this week was very busy, kind of chasing my tail. I made a tool to install staked front sights on a 1911. I kind of copied loosely another tool that used to be available that you can't get anymore, and that was a mediocre success. But anyways, what questions do you have? Like I said, I'm going to open the floor. If you have any questions, it doesn't have to be gunsmithing. Could be guns, could be pretty much anything on your mind. I want to talk about, while I give you all that opportunity, recent customer work that kind of has stood out to me. I don't know if it is the rate or speed that the ATF is processing paperwork at the moment, but I got a Form 1 back this week for an SBR that I applied for. It's been some time back, but it was before the government shutdown, and I think that's what caused the delay. But I have heard from multiple customers this week that they are seeing an increase in the processing speed. They're getting forms back from the ATF approved forms back much faster. I will also say that um, if you are in that boat, I've had a couple of people ask about this in person here in the shop. If you're in that boat where you applied for the stabilizing brace exception to the $200 tax stamp, basically you get the free SBR if it's for a pistol brace. What was that? The final rule that they had. I think they are still processing those from like 2023. I think that boat is slow, slow, slow. So if you're in that category, hang on tight. I have heard of a few people getting them back, but I think that was before the injunction. I actually think I have another Form 1. I need to check and see for an SBR that I applied for under that stabilizing brace rule. But getting a lot of requests right now for threading barrels, probably a dozen phone calls this week alone for people who either are new to suppressor ownership, they have their first suppressor, or have bought a new firearm and want to thread it. I have a gentleman who it's on the calendar. Monday, Tuesday next week is bringing me 4 firearms. He just got all of his suppressors back at the same time, or all of his forms approved, and got all of his suppressors out of jail, and is bringing me 4 different firearms to thread at one time. So doing a lot of threading. So I bought this lathe with the intent to leave a 4-jaw chuck on it and leave it set up just to thread barrels, and then do the rest of my turning work in the smaller lathe that I have. But it turns out I really like this machine. And when you're doing 11 or 12-inch parts, 1 inch or 1.25-inch diameter, it's got the speed and the rigidity that smaller Grizzly lathe I own doesn't have. I cut this. This is A36. It's mild steel, but I cut it screaming fast. I want to say 12 or 1600 RPM. Let's see if we can focus, but has an excellent finish. Got a little bit of serration on the outermost edge, but it's got a great finish on it. Like I said, that machine is a workhorse for as cheap of a machine as it was. And it does a really good job of threading. It is simple enough to change. It's a 1.5/1/6 cam lock, so it's simple enough to change the chuck, but then dialing the chuck back in every time, and then using the 4-jaw to dial the work in. It's kind of a pain. But that was my original plan with that machine, was to have a dedicated threading machine, just one left setup to spin barrels. Had a lot of requests this week as well, now that I'm thinking about it. 4 or 5 different people with barrel threading style requests that are on less common actions to be threaded. It's a mouthful now that I think about it. An FAL that had damaged threads. It's a Century Arms gun that had damaged threads. If you didn't know, pretty sure all of those Century guns were 9/16 by 24, kind of a less than common thread pitch. But fortunately, the threads were not destroyed. They were just damaged by a dummy. And so was able to clean those up quickly, and then a muzzle brake goes back on it. No harm, no foul. Save the customer some money and me some time. But FAL, a Mini 14, which if you've never pulled the action off of, or the barrel off of an action on a Mini 14, that's a doozy. A Mini 14, Mini 30, getting them indexed correctly again is the hard part. Getting the barrel off is kind of a pain. You have to have a special action wrench. and you're gonna tear the barrel up just because they're on there pretty tight. It's like factory Remington 700s. The barrels are notorious for whatever the thread locker that they use or thread sealer that they use. They're a pain in the butt to get back off. Mini 14 is no different. But also a pistol came in for a threaded barrel. CZ 82 or an 83, can't remember. It's a 380 caliber. Maybe I wrote it down. I write stuff down all the time because I forget. Let me look. I have two different notepads that I'm working on. That's how much I write down. CZ 83. But the CZ 83, unfortunately, the barrel is pressed into the frame. It's not impossible to get that barrel out of there to thread it. But it is a pain in the butt to get it back in and indexed correctly. Same story. A lot of them are that way. And so probably won't be threading that one for that customer. Let's see what else. What else? Recent work that has stood out. Just a general week of gunsmithing, really just busy. A lot of phone call traffic, not as much foot traffic. If you've never been to the shop, majority of you who are viewing this are customers or are local. That seems to be the case. And I don't have a big shop, and I am rural. My shop is not in town. You don't stumble across me. I've actually had people do that before, but you don't magically just show up and not kind of plan on being where you are. But I would say that foot traffic is down compared to normal. My Google Analytics say that I've had more searches and more phone calls and more map views, but that hasn't necessarily registered this week for me in-person foot traffic. Have had a bunch of you reach out that are not local, surprisingly, about work. It's doable, but you need to understand the scale of the project and the cost of shipping. I had this conversation. Super nice gentleman from New York reached out to me, I guess early this week, and had a Remington model 760. It's a pump action in, I believe it's 270 caliber, if I remember right. And he had purchased it in an online auction, wanted to send it to me to do kind of a quality control, make sure everything was as it should be, check the gun out, give it a good once over, and then ship it on to him at his location. It's not an issue normally, but the issue I run into is New York State. I do not ship. You would be hard pressed to get me to ship anything into the state of New York, the state of California, and New Jersey. There's one other one that I don't deal with, or maybe it's a city. But also for an inspect and diagnose on a gun like that is, I think I charge $45 or $55. The pricing is on my website. But you're going to spend $100 to ship it to me and then $100 to ship it back to you. It gets kind of expensive. And so if you're sending me a project, that's for a long gun. Normally it's about $100 is what it costs to ship one now. You can find it a little bit cheaper. And I have an account with like Pirate Ship, UPS, FedEx, things of that nature. But it still kind of can be cost prohibitive. If you're shipping me a high point for repair, it is going to exceed the cost of the firearm just in shipping to get it to me and back to you, or back to your local gunsmith or FFL, I should say. So I've had a bunch of people reach out about projects. I'm more than happy to take a look and have a conversation with you. But keep in mind that it may cost you more to get it to me and back to you than it is worth. Not all of them are that way. And I can work with you on labor cost. So I want to talk about the YouTube side of things. So in these live streams, I normally focus around the gun side of things and what's going on around the shop. A little bit of other stuff, but generally speaking, it is gun and gunsmithing related. But I never really talk about the YouTube side of it. And so I want to do that briefly. YouTube has this weird, it's almost like a pendulum. It seems to be. I have done the same format live stream on the same night of the week at the same time, one week to the next. And one live stream gets 5 views and one live stream gets 1,500 views. And I don't really know how to determine, how to predict that. So if there's any YouTube gurus watching, I'd love to know that. But I am trying to focus on, if you'll notice, I've been doing more live streams lately. That is because there is no editing involved, and they upload directly to YouTube, and then I don't have to touch it again. It's pretty straightforward. So my goal is to do a live stream at least one night a week, or one evening or one afternoon, whatever is convenient for me. And so that's just to talk about kind of like we're doing now. If you have any questions, what are your questions, but also what's going on a day-to-day, give you kind of a sneak peek of what's on my mind and what's in the shop. And then I'm doing a longer format video. Like I said, 30 minutes to an hour is kind of my goal, somewhere in there, with the meat and potatoes. Some of y'all are here for how to thread a barrel down to the minutia, how to take the gun apart, how to put the barrel in the lathe, how to indicate it, how to turn the tenon, what dimensions I use, what tool I'm using, things like that. Some of y'all are here for that. Some of you are just here to see, hey, look at this guy. He's holding this. And I get that. And so I'm trying to do the live stream for you ADHD people like myself, and then the long form video for those of you who are here for gunsmithing, thorough content. So that's my YouTube plan moving forward. Probably one big video a week. Editing seems to be the snag for me. I hate editing videos. I would much rather be working in the shop than editing a video. Neil, see, do you do AK barrel work, barrel pop, and headspace? I do. This is a live stream, but I actually, give me 1 second. I'm working on a full-length video for this, but this bin is for one of my customers, one of my local guys. He has some Morrissey receivers that he picked up and some parts kits, and so he brought the parts kits to me to finish demilling, take the trunnion out, knock the pins out. That's his bin, and I think there are 3 or 4 of them there. Hope that answers your question. Yes, I can do barrel work on your AK for you. I am not a manufacturer, and so I cannot take a virgin receiver and a trunnion and put those together and press the barrel in and pin this entire thing together. That's manufacturing. But I am a gunsmith, and so I can take your barrel out, put a new barrel in, and headspace it. Hope that answers your question, Neil. What other questions do y'all have? Oh, back on the YouTube front, while I let Neil catch up. Like I said, it's cyclical, or it's like a pendulum swinging back and forth. Some weeks a live stream does really well, and then the next week, same day of the week, same time of the day, the live stream does atrocious. Any suggestions, I'm open to it. I was talking with my buddy Eric a couple months ago about this very problem. If I perceive that y'all are bored, i.e. you're not watching the videos and it gets no engagement, I'm less inclined to continue doing that. Honestly, for me, YouTube is a way to pay forward all of the content that I've consumed over the years, tons and tons and tons. I have had a YouTube account for a long time. like a long time. Baby Demolition Ranch, long time. I've never been somebody to make videos. This is a relatively new thing for me. And if it's not worth my time, it's not worth my time. That's perfectly okay. But oh, what's up, brother? Two questions for you. First, I've got a Savage Mark II. What can we do to squeeze the best accuracy out of it? Mostly thinking silhouette competition. Let me think. One second. I'm going to. I'm pretty sure I did a Mark II. I don't know that I did any video for it though. I would say I'm not going to waste your time on a live stream to sit here and look for that. Action screw torque is critical on those smaller rimfire guns. If you think about the action in the stock and the screw that holds that action in, hitting the same torque value every time you remove that action from the stock every time is imperative, because the stock to action fit is less accurate than, say, like a Remington 700. Also, barrel crown, muzzle crown is important in those guns. It's not like a custom Remington 700 where we're going to blueprint the action, lap the lugs, go through, pillar bedding and things of that nature. They're a little less tailored fit. If you want to bring it by one afternoon, we can kind of go over some of the stuff for it. Like I said, action screw torque is imperative in those guns. That's pretty much any single screw rimfire. If it's got one screw holding the action to the stock, that torque value is important. I would also, like I said, bring it by sometime. I'll take a look at it and we can kind of run through it. Looking for a couple pieces of steel to act as a heat sink for air cooling A2 steel. Knife blade, I'm guessing. A2, I'm not a metals guy. I understand them. A2 is air hardening. And so you're going to clamp it between two pieces of steel to pull that heat out of it, but in a controlled manner, if I understand your question. If it's a knife blank or a billet that you're making a blade out of, local to us, depending on the thickness that you need. I would say Tractor Supply usually carries a pretty good supply of, it's expensive, but flat stock. So 3-inch wide, 3/8 thick. I don't know how thick you need to pull the heat out of it. But if you need like 3/4 inch plate or 1-inch plate, like thicker material, trying to think. Wood carving knives. There's this steel guy in town. I know they moved. So the welder has closed up shop that used to be on Sam Houston. But the steel supply place, I think it's on 75 South, if I remember right. And I cannot remember his name for the life of me. But if you need thicker material, you're going to have to probably either order it online. Nobody local to us that I know of carries it. What's that guy right here on the highway? Give me a second. There's the Iron Brothers. I don't know if they sell material. I'm trying to pull their website. Yep, steel supplier, Iron Brothers. It's between your house and mine, brother. They should have some plate, and you could probably talk. Yeah, bring that Savage by when you get a chance. Give me a shout. Make sure I'm here, and we'll take a look at it. Like I said, at least get it set up for them. And I'm assuming, don't the Mark IIs come with the aperture sight or peep sights on them? I can take a look at it for you. Get you pointed in the right direction. Any other questions? Feel free to drop them in the comment section down in the chat, and I will answer them when I get a chance. So I'll tell you that. Back on the YouTube thing, I'm going to swing back that other direction. What hasn't worked for me? Shorts seem to do really well, but I can tell you that it takes, I don't know what the number is, but a crap ton more views. It's in the exponential range of views on a short to get the same monetization level as a full-length video. Also, with shorts, I always forget. I test fire several guns a day. I shoot every day. That's the benefit of being in this business, is I'm never gonna run out of things to shoot, and I'm always shooting other people's stuff. But I never remember to video that. And so I would say that shorts have performed relatively well for me, but they don't necessarily generate the most bang for the buck, if that makes sense. And I'm terrible at picking audio to go with stuff. It's just my brain does not do social media, and I can't tell you the last time I turned on the TV to watch anything other than the news or YouTube. And so I don't know what's popular and trendy and what songs to put in a video. And so that's crap. If you watch one of my videos, you'll understand. It's meat and potatoes. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to talk about what I'm doing. There's going to be some time lapse, or I'm going to fast forward through the boring stuff, and that's pretty much it. I'm not here to do the whole song and dance. My kids watch some guy on YouTube. Now I can't remember his name, but it's theatrics. It's 100% theatrics, and I'm not here for that. I've got a little clickbaity with some of the thumbnails for some videos. I like to play around in Canva a little bit, but I can tell you that the ones that I make and the ones that my buddy Eric makes are night and day different. Thanks, Eric. Shorts are not my thing. What else is out there? There's a bunch of stuff that YouTube has as features that I just don't utilize. Don't necessarily work for me, for my plans. But I want to talk about like content planning. If you have a project, if you've got that unicorn one-off or one of 500 or whatever it is, and you want to do this weird project, or you want to do this cool tricked out backflip. So the thing, I had a guy reach out on a live stream quite some time ago, probably 6 months ago, and he had one of the Ruger Mark pistols, so 22 long rifle pistol, and he wanted to do a cut and thread, so cut the barrel back, thread the barrel, and then wanted me to make a custom adapter that was pinned to so it was a sleeve. So if this is his barrel, cut the barrel off, thread it, and then put a sleeve over that had a Picatinny rail on the bottom for use with a laser. Pretty cool James Bond kind of. What was the guy on James Bond who did all the tools and gadgets? Anyways, a pretty cool gadget gun. I just never got off the ground. We had a couple of conversations. He sent me some pretty proficient drawings. The gentleman works in drafting in some form. I can tell you that. He knows how to use CAD. And so he sent me some pretty sufficient drawings to get an idea of what all was involved. And we just never did the job. I have a lot of those conversations day in, day out. I wear headphones a lot of the time here in the shop because my phone has rung twice since I've been here live streaming with y'all, and I am closed by over 2 hours. My phone rings all day. And so I wear headphones so I can leave my phone on the bench. If you call and you hear me using a file in the background, it's because I'm talking to you on headphones. But excuse me. The boss texted me, so I had to respond to her. But yeah, so my plan, like I said, is to focus on those unique projects. I'm going to give you the Gunsmith insights. I did a Remington 742 video. Month to month, it does great. It's a great performer. There's a lot of them out there in circulation. There's a lot of quirks in that gun, things that can go wrong, things you should look for. I'm going to continue to do those, but I am looking to do multi-video projects. If you've ever watched Diesel Creek, or I'm trying to think of another good example, the Cutting Edge Engineering out of Australia, there's several channels where they start. It's a big project. It's a scale isn't necessarily what I'm talking about, but the level of intricacy is very deep. I'm looking to do more of those projects because I do what I do because I enjoy it. And I want to work on some cool stuff. And I think that y'all will enjoy watching the cool stuff as opposed to just watching me thread barrels day in and day out. You're still going to get some of that content too, but I think I would like to focus more on, let me grab this and I'll show you. I have a project. This belongs to a friend of mine, but this is a straight jacket firearms barrel. I don't believe that Straight Jacket makes AR barrels anymore, but this is a Straight Jacket AR barrel, and it is chambered in 6.5 Grendel. This is the barrel setup. It is a shrouded barrel, thus the name Straight Jacket. Take this break off here and I'll show you. So, not a gun, YouTube. If you look here, you can see there is a cap on the end of this shroud. And so there's a cap on both ends. Obviously, the gas block is here. And then these caps are tightened. And that, how do I want to phrase this? That pulls the barrel under tension. So it's a very cool concept. This is supposed to be an incredibly accurate barrel. The buddy of mine who left it here with me said that it shot better than he did. It's not his words, it's mine, because he would never admit to something shooting better than him. But I want to do some deep dive into stuff like this. Like I said, how many of these are out there? How many of you have heard of this or even seen one? I actually have one here. See if we can get that to focus. Straight Jacket. There you go. And it's got its own proprietary handguard system that has to fit on and attach in a way that is unique to this barrel setup. And so I want to focus on doing the different stuff. There are plenty of channels that do, hey, this is the new gun. This is cool. This is why you should buy it. I don't want to do that. There are plenty of channels that are, hey, this is the gun. This is how you take it apart. This is how you put it back together. I'll do a little bit of that because I get some cool stuff that comes in sometimes. This is a tritium sight box, by the way. If you've never ordered from Kinsight, I got a box. Lighting sucks. Kinsight. If you have a firearm and you need a tritium vial put in that firearm, or a front sight or rear sight or what have you, and it is not a standard off-the-shelf option, Kinsight will make the sight. They send them direct to Trigicon. I believe they only use Trigicon now, and they will lamp your sight for you. And so this is a custom sight for this project. There is a video in the work on this. You can't see what's in the bag, but it is shaped like this, and it uses one of these. If you know, you know. And this is a Series 70 tenon for a Series 80 slide. This is a very unique firearm. We've talked about it a little bit, but it is an unusual height. And rather than me spending a bunch of time and making this, that would be very expensive for the customer and labor hours. I called up Kinsight. They had an off-the-shelf option specifically for this firearm. Super cool. Very affordable, great customer service and tech support. Kinsight. Not a paid sponsorship. I just like them. There you go. Pretty quick shipping too. I think they handle all of the. Dang it! I just forgot the name. Smith & Wesson and Colt guns, adjustable rear sights. Anyways, they do a bunch of those too. They do a lot of reproductions of unavailable sights, and they will custom make you a sight as well. So what else? Y'all are quiet this evening. No questions. I literally would answer just about anything you asked right now. I don't have the winning lottery numbers. And what else? A bunch of chatty Cathys. But personal projects. That's another one I wanted to talk about. What am I working on personally? Like I said earlier, I just got a Form 1 back for an SBR on a lower receiver I have. And so I am going to be working on that. I actually have barrels are in no short supply, right? So I think I have 4 or 5 300 blackout AR barrels, a couple of 5.56 ones, a bunch of AR barrels, random barrels laying around. And so I'm thinking about doing 10.5-inch gun in 300 hammer to run 125 grain Hornady SSTs supersonic for pigs. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. Not Bomar. It is starts with an E or an A. You can't see his. I have one sitting on the bench in front of me. I'm an idiot. It's in this bag though. It is Eliason. Oh, should have remembered that. Eliason. So a lot of factory guns used to come with Eliason sights. It's like Bomar, same category. And so Kinsight still supports them. This sight has an odd screw in it. Somebody's modified it at one point. But thanks for the assist. I appreciate it. Yeah, so working on a SBR AR, and I am playing around with the idea of a tube gun build. So I can't show you because it is probably not allowed on live streams on YouTube, but I have a torch cut parts kit for a tube style 9mm SMG sitting right over there that I can see right now. The stock is looking at me. It's like, hey, make a gun out of me. And so I'm playing around with the idea of a tube gun build. Dimensions have to change. And obviously this kit came into the country when they were torch cutting barrels. And so I got to figure out a barrel setup. But I have a solid trunnion and a magwell and a lower receiver and a bolt. And so I'm thinking about doing a semi-auto, excuse me, a tube gun build. I will show you, was reading earlier today while not being a very good friend at lunch. 6.5 by 25 CBJ. I have this desire now to build a 6.5 by 25 sub gun, and then I also would like to build one with about a 10-inch barrel. Oh, I just had an idea. I bet I have a 6.5 barrel around here too. How cool would it be to do a Colt magazine style lower? So the lower I just got to form one back on has a regular lower, or has a regular mag well, but if I could use a Colt adapter and use Colt stick mags and do a custom blowback 6.5 by 25 CBJ, 10.5-inch. I mean, I've got a can that I could run anything through. I've got a 30 cal can that I can put on the thing, but a law folding adapter, maybe not a law adapter, some kind of PDW size 6.5 by 25 built on an AR platform. I better write that down. I'm going to forget that by tomorrow. I don't know if anybody has reamers for 6.5 by 25, or if you could even get brass. But in theory, you could use a 9mm bolt, right? What is the MP9? Y'all stick with me. I'm doing some research. Talk bad about me or ask questions in the chat section. Y'all really must be bored because I'm there's almost zero information on the internet about the 6.5 by 25 CBJ, like very, very little. I'm going to butcher his name. Carl Bertil Johannesson designed a bunch of subguns. I read an article. I'm an incessant reader. I read an article years ago. It was saved on my phone for a long time, about him and some of the guns that he created. He was kind of an innovator. He made some very unique designs. But the MP9 was developed by Steyr, and then B&T acquired the rights in the early 2000s. They also added a NATO accessory rail, suppressor attachment, fixed skeleton, blah, 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 blah. Pistol largely made from polymer. P9 is closed and locked bolt utilizing a rotating barrel locking system. MP9 is fascinating. I don't think there's any links here. Let me drop this in the chat so y'all can see what I'm looking at. Check that out. Very cool concept, but can you get ammo? Can you get dies? Can you get a reamer? Oh, Ian did, Gun Jesus did a video on it a couple days ago, shooting through APC with a Glock. Practicality. Can you get ammo? Anybody know of a source for 6.5 by 25 ammo? because that would be a super sweet project. Anyways, I'm going to do some more research because I have a lower that now is Form 1 that I haven't decided what I'm exactly going to do with yet. But that would be a cool little project. So think about the 5.7 AR, but a 6.5 by 25. 9mm bolt head. Can you make that from 9mm? Surely not. 9mm is 9 by 19. Nine by 29. I didn't think about that. That's got to be high. CBJ, they're still in business. Still got a website anyways. The Swedish micro caliber can shoot through steel. Starline brass, 9 by 23 comp brass is 26 cents a piece. Anybody want to get me an early Christmas present? 500 of them for $130. So in theory, can you make it from 9 by 29 maybe? I don't know the last time I saw 9 by 29. It's the same case head. I know for sure it is. Well, that's Europe, so that doesn't help me any. Starline, 9 by 29. Win mag. Anybody? Yeah, that'd be cool. 6.5 by 25 AR. I'm going to do some more research. Anyways, we've been here for an hour. I'm going to get out of here. I have a couple of little things I need to do before I leave. I in the process of making this, used 3/4 of the tool in my shop. And so now I need to clean a little bit. I already cleaned the milling machine and the lathe, took shop vac and vacuumed everything up. But I have a little bit more cleanup to do before I get out of here. And then I have a little bit more work on this guy to do as well. But thank you all for hanging out and for the interaction. I hope you find this stuff useful, or at least mildly entertaining to watch some idiot babble on the internet. But I'm going to get out of here. Thanks so hard. Be good.